The Germans that immigrated to Texas in the 1840s came from all areas across Germany. Most of my grandparents came to Fredericksburg in the 1840s, so my great-great-grandparents arrived in Indianola, came to New Braunfels, then into Fredericksburg, and settled here. So as they came into Fredericksburg, settled down, married, the dialects merged with each other. So our German language here has a dialect that is quite different from any other regions in the United States.
Kein Wasser ins Haus gehabt.
Well, das ist wie wir gestern Abend.
I did grow up speaking German, and I spoke only German until I started school. I learned the home life language. Working in the garden alongside Mother and Daddy, that was in the German language. Going and staying with grandparents, great-grandparents. Getting the eggs with Opa, and doing some sewing with Oma. I learned about helping my mother with the children, so that was done in the German language.
I discovered the Texas German dialect in the summer of 2001. Then I stopped in Fredericksburg. I had lunch. I heard these elderly gentlemen speak an interesting variety of German that I've never heard before. So I went up to them and I asked, where are you from and what are you doing here? And they looked at me in disbelief and they said, what do you mean? We've always been here and we speak Texas German and we're fifth generation Texas Germans. And that was the first time that I had not only heard Texas German spoken, but that I also knew that it existed.
Ja, jedes Mal dasselbe. Ja, gut.
My first experience in learning that the German language in Fredericksburg was quite different than the language in Germany was in 1996 when we met with the people from Montabaur here and in Germany. There were words that I used that would bring these smiles to people's faces, and they would say, oh, now I haven't heard that word used since my grandmother passed away.
So at the end, after 3 to 4 to 5 generations, the dialect that you get sounds a little bit like all the input dialects from 100 or 150 years ago, but it's a unique dialect. So Texas German is different in that it's a mix of different dialects. And then Texas German is also interesting because it's been in contact with English for such a long time. So you have a long list of hundreds of words that have been borrowed from English into Texas German. One of the obvious ones is words like die Stinkkatz, which literally means the stinking cat. They saw this little fluffy thing that was walking around and looked like a cat, but it really had a bad smell, so they literally called it stinking cat. It's something very uniquely Texan.
Da war keine Wagen, so der Herbst und seine Frau und die Jungen sind bei Fuß.
Texas German is really hard to find these days. If you go to 9-pin bowling alleys, if you go to particular types of social clubs like dancing clubs, shooting clubs, card playing clubs, specifically in areas like New Braunfels or in Fredericksburg or in Schulenburg or Freiburg or in Comfort, you can go to feed stores, you can go to hardware stores, and if you're lucky, you run into people who speak Texas German with you.